Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Get the Shot, brought to you by Tamron Australia. My name is Joe Orchard, I'm your host. Today I've got Nick from TED's, content producer, great guy, fun collaborator. This is a chat I've been really excited to have because both as content creators working for big-ish companies, it is just an industry shift that's really interesting. And we'll get all into that. But Nick, thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you for having me, man. It's good to be here.
Awesome. We were meant to record this a few weeks ago, but you got your office soundproofed.
Yes. So we finally, I have my own little room at the TED store. That's just for me, my little recording room. And I've got a desk in there to edit. And the reverberation in there is awful. There is a big skylight in the middle of the room, and it has grated bars that look like a jail cell in a way. So it made it awful to try and control any of the light in there.
Are you like Jesse from Breaking Bad? Yeah.
Some days, yes. But yeah, so it was just not great. And thankfully, it's good to come into a role where the company actually believes in the role. They're not just filling the role to just, tick a box in that sense. So they're willing to sort of invest in things. And one of those was, making the room much better for production.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, so we got, we went with a local company and they did all the installation. And so we got this nice mid-gray sort of soundproof color around on the walls. One of the walls, we got a green.
Ooh.
So we could do green screen stuff.
How exciting.
Yes.
I still mess up green screen.
Do you?
It's so tricky. I just find it tough.
It definitely is. I'm very lucky. So part of my history is that I have an advanced diploma in visual effects. So I went to TAFE. So I have quite a lot under my tool belt of skill sets. So doing, visual effects stuff and green screen stuff is thankfully, I learned to do a lot of that. And you learn a lot of little tricks and how to manipulate things and get the best result. But it can be quite challenging. But now that skylight has been blocked off with big sound panels, so the sound in there is dead, and I can control the light. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Let's rewind back a little bit because you didn't start at TED's as a content creator per se. What has your journey been to end up where you are?
Yeah, so as of March, it's been 10 years since I first started content creation as a Twitch streamer. And so I pretty much just was streaming on Twitch doing gaming for about the first 3 years. And then I started, in 2019, went to my first PAX Australia, so flew to Melbourne, went to my first big gaming convention, and then I started to meet some brands and diversify, and I started to make produced content basically. And through the years, growing my skills, getting better as a creator, working with more brands, and doing some really big, having collaborations and having some big opportunities. And then while on the side, just working casual jobs and things like that. Found myself working at TED's as a sales assistant, and I was still doing my content thing. And then the role popped up basically for the company. It's okay, well, you already do content, you're good at it, and you already work for the company. So let's try.
Makes sense.
Let's try this out. So yeah, and I think it's a really interesting sort of shift and a move. And because everyone has a phone, anyone can technically make content, but as of course both of us understand, there's so much more that goes into it.
Yes. For broader context, for those viewers who don't know, Tamron is distributed by a company called Blonde Robot, and Blonde Robot has a whole portfolio of different brands and products like Peak Design, backpacks, Red Digital Cinema, Angelbird cards. And so some brands need more marketing help than others per se. And so there's actually a lot to figure out how to market things accordingly. But what works for Tamron here in a podcast with our campaign Get the Shot doesn't quite work with something like AJA, which is about broadcast and communications of that sort. So what content works for one company doesn't work for another. And the problem solving there is a challenge that I did not expect when it comes to this sort of position. Have you experienced a similar sort of thing?
In a way, I think, especially for your case, like you have to shift your own brain for which like brand that you need to make content for, which I can imagine is already like would be quite the challenge. Or you'd have an idea and think, wait, that's not that company A's content, that's a company B's content.
Yeah.
And having to flick back and forth. But I think in a way, because it's like I know there's stuff that I would make. Like obviously I'm applying my own flavor of content style to what I would do for TEDs. There's obviously a line, right? But yeah, there's definitely things that's like, oh, I know I could do this. Oh, but TEDs, it has to be a little bit different. It has to be a little bit more thought about because of course it does. But I'm very thankful there's still a lot of flexibility sort of like in the box.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that, you know, I love, like if you put the box there, I love to push the edges of that box as much as possible.
Hell yeah.
Because I think that's just part of the fun. And I think it can help the creativity aspect as well, because it kind of gives you the guidelines to sort of work around. Whereas like if you just have this like purely blank canvas, you can be like, oh, now I have no idea because everything is a possibility.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you come from a sales background, because I often think that salespeople turn out to be surprisingly good on camera once they get rid of the stigma of, oh, there's a camera here and what do I do and how do I react? A lot of the skills that you apply in sales to communicate a message or a product actually apply in front of a camera to do that exact same thing.
Yeah,
So
like a camera versus a person, it's very, very similar. And I have a question for you. How are you at public speaking?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, or like, have you always been?
Yes, surprisingly good. In high school, every year in middle school, years 7 to 9, they would have public speaking, which was one person from each house does it. And I did it every year. And I was like the only person who would volunteer and do it.
Okay.
Maybe it was an attention thing.
Possibly, maybe. But I find that interesting because I hated it.
Really?
I was so shy. Like from primary school, even going into high school, like I hated to, do like, presentations in front of the class or an assembly and things like that. Absolutely hated it.
So how did you go about with streaming where there's like instant feedback and...
So the weird thing is, I think I started to make really cringy YouTube videos, like of just like gameplay videos.
Who didn't?
Who didn't, right?
Yeah.
Who didn't? But it was weird because I think in my brain, the camera seemed like nothing. It was like, oh, in front of people, like, okay, I'm in my own head about it. But in front of a camera, I'm like, that's a camera. You know, my brain, it didn't, compute it the same way. So then, for me, it was kind of a very natural thing. I mean, when you start out, like, you're starting with a few viewers and things like that. I was already ingrained in like a Twitch community before I actually did start streaming. So I didn't just start fresh. I was basically a Twitch viewer, like a heavy community viewer for like a good, 9 to 12 months before I was like, I'm going to build my first computer and I'm going to start streaming. And I streamed in 360p for 2.5 years.
Fantastic.
Because NBN wasn't around yet. Until I think a friend was like, have you looked at a Telstra cable? And I was like, I don't know what that is. He's like, have you ever had Foxtel? I was like, yeah. Oh, you probably have it. And then I was like, oh, okay, we could get it. And then all of a sudden, a 0.7 upload and then our speeds went to 100 down and like 20 up.
Wow.
And I was like, this is the future.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, I can stream in HD.
And to any international viewers, that's surprisingly high for Australia at that time. Australia's got famously slow internet.
That was basically the peak, you know, like we weren't far off the peak essentially for internet speeds. So that was amazing. And yeah, so like, and it's really interesting because I don't know. I mean, I think like in retail, again, it's like, you know, you're working with customers, right? And like, you know, but it's just face to face, you're just talking to someone. I guess in a way, I didn't feel like I was performing, I guess, in my head. I don't know how I would have seen it, but I think a combination of maybe the years of retail and just getting in front of, like, I guess finding myself comfortable in front of a camera, and then all of a sudden now I've done the 180 flip and I've got zero issues with public speaking.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's like it kind of helped me become more confident, like as a person, just by the act of doing it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I was ever like, I was never someone who was like afraid of being in front of camera per se, but I would never like jump
You went
towards it.
seeking it, yeah.
Yeah, but now I'm just like, put me in front of camera. I don't care. Let's go. Let's do it. I have my bar for shame is like non-existent. I've done some incredibly embarrassing things and for charity and stuff like that over the years. So like, I have no shame anymore.
That's good. I'm still working on it myself. Editing my voice with this podcast, I've still got to work on a little bit.
Yeah.
But well.
Do some charity fundraisers, and you'll completely change your perspective.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
Because then you can, you just tell your brain, "No, I'm doing this embarrassing thing for charity," and then all of a sudden, you can do anything.
TEDs have lots of products, lots of different brands. How do you sort of know what to make content on, or sort of what would be the pipeline to getting a video made?
I don't. No.
Oh no.
No.
Bosses? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's both a really fun thing and a really difficult thing at the same time, because like you have so many things at your disposal, and it almost becomes decision paralysis at the time. But realistically, for me, I enjoy the variety. And as someone with ADHD, like I like thrive in that. So it just, it's kind of like the week to week of like what's coming out. And because obviously, as a retailer, we stock a whole range of products. So there's usually a lot of things coming out on a semi-regular basis. There's usually always like a new lens or a new camera, a new mic, a new drone, something like that. So that normally dictates what I'm focusing on. And then on the other side, it's like any ideas that may involve some products we sell. But a big thing, like my biggest goal sort of in this sort of initial, like, I guess, period of me going full time with them was just purely just to grow the social media. So it was just, following trends and making them, camera related. That was kind of the bigger focus. It wasn't necessarily just like product focused and thinking, okay, what product do I make a video about? It was more so like, how do I make just entertaining social content that will help grow the social platforms?
Speaking of trends, you and I both did the John Hamm transition thing. I did it for Clickster, and I can't remember what product you did it for, but I have a weird feeling about trends, and this is, I guess, my hot take.
Yeah.
All trends do is propel the original media. So a trend video that people make is like, replicating something. How many people Googled from seeing one of those videos of John Hamm being like John Hamm show dancing, and then found whatever Apple TV show it was? And how many viewers did they get from that? And so that's what my weird feeling about trends is.
100%. Like it's, and it depends obviously what the trend is. It's like, could be a funny idea, or it's using something like that, which is like, the show that the clip came from. But more specifically, the song.
Yeah.
Because I kept seeing stuff on social media of the guy being like, you know, just an average day, and he wakes up one day and he's like, and his song is popping off and he has no idea why.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, he's getting hundreds and thousands of streams for his song, you know, and then things, just suddenly blowing up for him. So like, just it like trends are so powerful, but also it's like, you know, if anyone could figure out like how to make a trend, well, you know, you're worth a
We'd all do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we'd all do that. We'd all do that worth $1 billion. No one can predict what's going to take off.
I've forgotten his name, but there's this guy in New York who basically has fabricated a few viral things, including the Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest, and John Chungus, I think also is his name. Like, it's an account that this young guy, and he's multiple times gone viral with these really abstract random ideas, and he's proven that going viral isn't just a happenstance thing. It is actually a sport, and you can become good at it and do it multiple times. And every now and then you'll see something viral and type in, is this, I've forgotten the guy's name. He's got a big following, and I'll have his name on screen. But credit to him, because he pulls off some really, really cool stuff.
I mean, I'm familiar with the Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest, but I'm not familiar with anything else that he's done.
He had this thing with Crocs that happened. He had like this statue of Crocs at some point, and he had this guy named John Chungus, who was this old dude
What
who
a
would,
name.
I know, right? He would stand in Central Park and like sing and do all sorts of other like weird transition trends and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it turned out to be another one of this dude's curations, which is
interesting.
It's insane, but it's kind of really funny.
It's really cool. I guess like is it just furthering the point that like you have to do the most weirdest, wackiest stuff because that's what's the most attention grabbing?
Potentially. There's the 4 S's of virality are shocking, strange, sexy. Oh, I've forgotten the 4th one, but let's go with that.
Yeah.
Shocking, you're a bit like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
You keep watching. Strange, you want to know more. And so you want to keep going. Sexy, eye candy, that sort of stuff appeals. And there's one more, and it's going to come to me 7 minutes later, and I'm going to interrupt something that you're going to say.
Yes.
And just be like, bang.
No, please do, because now, like, now I need to know what the 4th one is. That makes perfect sense.
We'll look it up, actually. Shocking, strange, scary. Did I say scary?
No, scary.
Shocking, strange, scary, sexy. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess when you think about like a lot of stuff, I mean, even for like the little funny, like where does like a viral cat video fit into that?
Strange.
In the strange
And
category?
arguably, sexy is an S word for it, but it's like something that's visually appealing.
Visually
And
appealing.
so cats, like, animals, beautiful and stuff like that. People like that. Like, think of all the videos of these like random people walking up and with like tigers and lions, and they're like waking them up. So there's exotic animals that are beautiful looking, but also scary because you're like,
like
that thing is one scratch away from ending
That's
your
a target.
life.
Yeah, I keep. There's this account that I follow, and she runs a sanctuary, and she just does. I think it's like Sarah's Sanctuary or something like that. I think, and she's just all being super cuddly with these tigers and lions, and she's going like and booping their noses repeatedly.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah,
they must be the most placid exotic animals on the planet. Like
my
to
goodness.
be, or they're just like. Yeah, we'd put up with her crap, Like we're just used to it.
Let's bring it back to content creation as sort of a trend. You brought up something interesting in your timeline, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, or if there's a content creator listening, they'll relate to the fact that they started off as a freelancer in some capacity and have found a full-time position within a company or within an agency, perhaps, if agencies still kind of exist. Why do you think this has happened? And why companies have moved away from potentially seeking outwards for a freelancer and have looked internally or hired for someone internally?
Yeah, I think, you know, the idea, like for content creators, everyone sees like the full-time dream as obviously going full-time, like for themselves. But I think content creators in the traditional sense never, I guess most people don't even consider the fact that what we do is an option. And for the most part, it hasn't been. I think that it's a really interesting question that I've thought about a little bit, but never could quite come to a proper answer. And I think, on one hand, you could say maybe it's cost.
Yep.
The cost of hiring someone internally versus going to an agency.
I did a job interview and someone explicitly said that to me.
Oh, just that.
It goes, your yearly wage, successful candidate's yearly wage, will be half what I'm currently paying an agency.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
wow.
what the hell? Like,
That's and when you consider that, it makes sense.
yeah.
And I guess, but that's the thing, right? It's like, well, then how many hats is like that person they're hiring wearing?
Yes.
Because obviously there's a lot more the agency is offering, but rather than just the content.
Yeah.
Because the normal case, and from like, I have this unique perspective being on like a few sides of
Yeah.
it, because I'm working in obviously this side of it internally for a company. But I also obviously have done stuff for brands as a solo individual, and half the time it's an agency who are representing that brand, the marketing, and they're reaching out, and part of their marketing campaign or their marketing is to work with influencers and have them produce content. But they're managing what the campaign is going to be, this and that, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, is there someone internally from the company that is managing these campaigns or this sale promotion, how that's going to look, or is that going to fall onto the individual? I think I'm quite thankful in my specific role where my job is more so the pure sort of creativity aspect of like, it's like, oh, hey, can you make a video on this product? Or we have this sale coming up, can you make a video to promote this? So it's like, I'll be given some guidelines for certain things, but otherwise, like, I'm just purely focused on the content. I don't have to think too hard about like, the external other marketing aspects, because we've got a marketing team, we've got social media manager and things like that to handle it. So I guess it depends especially on how many hats you wear as like an individual.
I think in a lot of cases though, videographers, when they get hired by a company, they're just doing video, unless they're crazy and do photo and video. But a content creator may have to take photos at one point, may have to do video at another, may have to record audio, and may have to do some graphics and stuff like that. And the tricky thing is, I actually don't really know how to do graphics. So there's really interesting things that I've had to learn, and like they say over time you get more narrow with a skill, but sometimes being a content creator, you actually just end up broader.
No, but yeah, out of necessity, 100%. Like you have to do like you have to, and I think that also could be another aspect as to why companies are wanting to seek someone out. Like you have to have a proven expertise and success in what you do. Which is like, for me, it's like, so I've had my years of producing content and being successful at it. Like that's, that was like a big force of like, okay, well, if a company is going to hire someone to be a content creator, they need to obviously know that you can make and produce it and it can perform in some aspect. You don't have, it doesn't mean you had to make like a super viral video or anything, but they just need to know that the content's good and it can achieve some views. But like, you have to be a social media like manager, because you're managing your stuff. You're thinking about the time to post, the right tags to use, things like that, the right cover image or thumbnail. Making the cover image and thumbnail.
Oh man.
Getting good at audio to make sure your audio is good in your videos, because you're doing everything yourself. So like you build up this expertise and skill set and over time. And I think how much you adapt and learn those skills is where the gaps in sort of content creators can start to form.
Yeah.
Of like the people who start to get better and good at a lot of those things, like that helps propels you. It's one thing to have a good idea, but if you can't execute it properly, then you know how it's not going to really get you to where you want to be, because you have to learn those skills.
Absolutely.
Like you just said, so you had to learn those things to be able to produce what you needed to produce.
I guess as well as a freelancer, the part that I always found interesting was, it's like, okay, when I was doing videography, they're like, okay, we need you to shoot this and edit that. And then suddenly, you know, the only reason they're hiring me back, they hired me initially because of my portfolio and stuff like that. But they've likely hired me back because they like me.
Yeah.
You know, so weirdly enough, the skills fall into this interesting category. You'll need some, you develop some, and where it all comes back is really wild. But I guess, you know, being a content person, I also think, you know, progressing this a little bit, there's so many companies that could do well with a content creator
For sure.
that actually just don't have it. And the ultimate example is clothing retail, I think, because we always like the model shoots and stuff like that and the staged environments, but that can be quite an expensive thing to do. If you had a staff member or a casual and you just allocated an hour and a half off one of their shifts once a week to film something, it's personable, it's relatable, and content doesn't have to be a minute-long reel describing the themes and attributes of the season. It could literally just be, even if it's just a trend that fits, something about the clothes and just keeps your brand going on a relatable level. And then when someone walks into the shop, they go, hey, I saw you on Instagram or TikTok.
You can have your high budget, like fancy stuff, which they obviously would do, like the model shoots, but you got to have everything. You got to have some grounded like stuff too. A video that I produced was one of the early videos I produced for TED's. When I first started doing it casually, so when I was still living in Adelaide and at the Adelaide store, and I basically like just got a few staff members in front of the camera, and I was just like it was like a little Christmas thing of just like, what do you want for Christmas, you know? And then saying like, oh, they want this camera, or like, oh, I want lots of film. And that video was really well received. It was personable because it was like, it's the real staff members and they're being honest about what they want. And it's kind of that peek behind the curtains. Like our supervising team really loved that video. They loved seeing the staff like in the video. So I 100% agree with you. It's like, it's something that would really benefit many, many different companies, just to have someone producing content that's a bit more grounded. And then I think creativity that I really love is like when we talk about trends, taking something that, as they call it, the all yoink and twist, taking an idea, but then modifying it to be different.
There's copy and paste, and there's copy with taste.
I love that.
Yeah, actually, that's not an original.
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm borrowing that.
But I've not heard that before. That's really good. Copy with taste is brilliant.
Yeah.
My best friend in marketing is going to love that when I tell him. But yeah, the idea, you take someone's like concept, and then you apply it. You take inspiration and apply it with your own taste. Did you do, like we're talking about trends we both did, the John Hamm one? Did you possibly do anything with the Coldplay incident with the people were caught out in the Coldplay concert?
Like most offices, we of course talked about it, and I saw my fair share of people replicating it, but no, we didn't really do that.
Okay, I did.
Okay.
And it was and I modified it so that like it was the you know, obviously I'm tripping over my own words. So I did it. And I put the caption as, you know, when you're trying a different camera brand and you're like a diehard user. So it's like me, I like put like a Canon shirt on, and like I'm like and then I'm like, I'm starting off holding like a Sony camera, and then I'm like, acting it out. I'm like, oh, and then I go and pick up a Canon camera to like, and it was really well received and actually did really well. And so that's where I get a lot of fun. It's just like, oh, I've seen something. How can I make it camera related? How can I make it, make sense for TEDs to post, basically?
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. And because that's a relatable thing. It's like you could be a diehard, user, right? And then you might try a different brand and go, actually, wow, this is really nice. And you almost feel like you're cheating on your own camera or something. And so it was really good. And people just like, yeah, wow, that feeling is so, that's so relatable.
I don't mind if you sort of dance around this idea, but because TEDs stock all the major camera brands, has there ever been issues where you've potentially focused more on one and neglected another, and there've been issues there? Or how do the brands feel?
Look, I don't think it's been an issue. We've never had anything crop up like that. We normally try to give, if it's a sale video, and we try to we mention all the brands and all the sales and things like that. But thankfully that's not been an issue that's happened.
Okay, good.
Because a lot of the time it's just whatever I have access to, and that's kind of what I end up using. It's never really there is a fine line. There's fun. There's individual creators out there who make camera related content, and they have the freedom to make videos and kind of make cheeky roasts on the brands. Obviously, we can't do that. As funny as they might be, there's always one that I love. I can't remember the guy's name, but he roasts the main flaw of all the brands, and just in a very fun, poking fun way of just and he kind of acts out as the camera, and I think it's brilliant. And I'm like, I could never do something like that, because it's it's showing it in the brand in some negative way. But no, there's I think it's no secret. It's I'm a Sony shooter personally. I have different cameras that can have access to at work, and it's just a matter. That's just kind of a fact. So far, all is well.
Yeah.
We'll be, on the social media, if we see something funny, we see something interesting that we might be able to use as an idea or concept, we immediately just send it to each other, and we just have this catalog of videos that we're just cool. At any time we can pull from and apply, whether we think it'd be a good sales video, or just a fun idea and concept. Sometimes stuff has gone really big by the time we've seen it, but there's been a couple of things recently that we've seen kind of, I guess, not mega viral, but sort of, I guess, micro viral. So it's doing big numbers, but not stupid big numbers. And then I'll try to jump on it as quickly as I can. And one of those recently was, I'd seen 2 videos kind of hit my feed of, and I'm not sure if you saw it. It was a video and it had this particular soundtrack, but it's 2 people. One person's in a car, and then someone else pulls up, and it keeps cutting back and forth between the person in the car being really tense and keeping still, and then the other person being in different positions.
Yeah.
And one of those, so the first one I saw was, you're at the traffic lights and you see a cop pull up next to you, and you in your mind you're trying not that you would be normally, but you're trying everything to make sure you don't accidentally try to reach for your phone or something. Then the cop is in these different positions, and then suddenly appearing in the car and things like that. And so I was like, that's really funny. How can I turn this meme and make it camera related? And so I came up with the idea, and I pitched it to Erin, and she was like, that's a great idea. And we basically pitched it as okay, POV, when, as a freelancer, when your client is contacting you daily for the overdue wedding video photos.
Yeah.
because obviously by people getting antsy and they're like, where are they?
Yeah.
So then, I got one of my friends who was willing, and we got our cars together and we basically recreated the scene of him being in the car and me appearing in the different positions, but just with that caption to make it more contextual.
Yeah.
And it was a successful video. It did, 8 times the views that we normally get on our Instagram.
Yeah, right.
And then Erin's like, hey, do you have any bloopers from that? I'm like, actually, yes. So then I made a little blooper reel, and that did almost as good as views wise as well.
Oh yeah. Behind the scenes. That's like a big thing that you can do. People love the stories, and a really good way to get behind the scenes, Meta glasses.
Yeah. Surprisingly.
You saw me walk around them when we had the event, right here.
Yeah.
We haven't posted any of the footage, but
but it's there.
It's there. It exists.
The MO of every videographer or content person is there's a bunch of footage there. Haven't done anything with it yet, but it's there.
Yeah. I might need it. Who knows?
At some point. Those Meta glasses are surprisingly good and really good for BTS stuff.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun. What is your most viral video that you've made within TEDs?
Within TEDs?
Yeah, or best performing?
I think the best performing, it's a combination of two. One of them was boosted, had some paid boosting applied to it. But ironically, it was one of the first video. It was actually the first video that I produced for TEDs, that I filmed for myself to post. But then Erin saw it. I told Erin about it, and she was like, "Hey, can we actually post that to TEDs, and then we'll collaborate on it?" And I was like, "Of course." And it's me unboxing my DJI drone that I bought.
Nice.
But I made it a funny ASMR unboxing.
Ah.
So I was doing funny stuff with my hands, and I was opening the plastic, and I was pretending to eat the plastic with my hand. I put sunglasses on the drone, and then I intercut clips of me going like this and making drone sounds going that. So that did amazing views, and then with a little bit of boosting, I think it's sitting around between 80 to 100,000 views now.
Oh, cool.
Which is awesome. It was the very first one, and the other one that with no boosting, I think is sitting at almost 13,000 views. We made a funny little Valentine's Day video. A creator I know from Perth did a funny concept for a video, and I really loved the idea, and I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, can I take inspiration from this but do it in a different way?" and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh my god, yeah, go for it." And it's literally just Erin and I sitting in a park, and so we're sort of acting at a scene where she's being like, "Oh, we've been friends for a while, we get along, maybe we should insinuating we should start dating." And then me just kind of being super not picking up on it. I just go, "Yeah, I've always wondered about what happened to the 12 Hasselblad cameras that were on the moon that were left there." And it's just me going on this little monologue rant and her going, "What?"
Yeah.
And
that's just like having a conversation with me.
Yeah. It's really relatable. Yeah. And then just people in the comments going, "Yeah, I want to know more about the Hasselblad cameras now." And that video did really, really well. And it was just a fun little Valentine's Day video that we just made. We didn't have a Valentine's Day sale or anything. It was just we wanted to make something fun to go with the seasonal events that happen as you do.
But I'm guessing you didn't predict that either one of these would do particularly that well?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. We think, it'll be fun. It might get maybe, it'll probably, it might average the regular amount of views that we sort of normally get, maybe slightly higher because it's a bit funnier and a bit different. Nah, it just took off and did really well.
Our most viewed clip from this podcast was with a guy named Jason Boland, and he is Chris Hemsworth's photographer on movie sets and stuff like that.
That's really
But he
cool.
didn't actually tell a Chris Hemsworth story. He the clip starts with him going, so I'm standing on top of this train and I'm filming this helicopter. But as he is describing this stuff, he graciously, behind the scenes, sent me footage of all of that. So I incorporated that into the clip, which was lucky.
Yeah.
But as we were recording this episode, his internet cut out. And I could tell he was telling a really good story about he was just train, helicopter, jumping out. And so I knew this was great. And normally I would have been like, sorry, you just cut out. Can we do that again? But I just like let it go. And then I heard it for the first time in the edit. And I'm like, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And it's on like 190,000.
That's amazing.
views.
That's absolutely incredible.
But the other one that did well for very different reasons was we had Matt Irwin on the show, who's like this really big tech reviewer for photography products. And he had this whole rant about not using histograms or zebra stripes for exposure. And
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm intrigued by this. Okay.
there we go. So that's as a hook that
Yeah.
captured so many people. And a lot of people actually agreed, partially because we can see in our eye what's exposed and what's not exposed. And also it's okay if some things are more exposed than others, like windows and certain reflections and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we have this dilemma. We can either make clips about really cool stuff that happens, but someone may not have that type of story. So what's the most cool possible thing we can have? Or we can get you to say something really, really controversial and potentially alienate audiences.
You've given me too much power.
For a campaign called Get the Shot, we care about the photographer. We don't want people to have hurt feelings in the comment section or anything like that. But that's something we don't have control over, so I sort of have to get over myself a little bit and think about that. The way we like to wrap up the podcast is we get the previous guest to leave a question for you. You don't know who they are, they don't know who you are.
That's fun.
And
I like
so
this.
the question for you is, how do you respond when the client asks for raw footage? Clip that. Editor, clip that.
Yeah, just like, good joke. Like, pretty much. Like, the client asks for raw footage, or the client asks like, asks for the raw photos, or when, as an artist, when someone goes, oh, can I have the PSD or something like that?
Yeah.
In some cases, like, I think it's fine, but like, yeah, no, you paid for a product, you got the product. Like,
Okay, what cases is it okay to actually send the raw footage and images? It doesn't actually make too much sense to me. It's just.
Oh, sorry. Let me clarify. I'm sorry. I meant like specifically with like the artist and the PSD files.
Oh, yeah.
With the raw footage and raw photos, it's like, no. You are paying for that service, and it's going to be delivered to you in the final format. Like that's just not a thing.
And people are like, why is it like gray and murky? I'm like, it's called log.
Yeah.
And it becomes nicer because it's gray and murky. They're like, why? And I'm like, it's too complicated. Just trust me.
I'm not gonna go into it. Don't
This
worry
is my
about it.
expertise. You know, I handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always wonder. I'm like, what is the that's what my question would be to the client. Like, why do you want the raw footage? Like,
Yeah.
what do you just want? Like, you just want to edit it yourself, I guess, or like.
Anyway, Nick, it's been lovely having you on the show. Can't believe it's taken this long to properly be in touch and get going.
I know it's been good to finally do this, and like, I don't know if it dates it or not, but it's like we're doing it on Star Wars Day, which is just even cooler.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
May the 4th.
I'm wearing the Overlord's cardigan. This is my Mickey Mouse themed.
Beautiful. Yeah, you're Disney themed on brand. Perfect.
I know, right?
No, this was honestly a lot of fun. I love having chats about the stuff that like we do with fellow peers and things like that. So this was stuff like this I absolutely love. So thank you so much for having me on.
It's my pleasure. And if you want to find out what Nick asks next week's guest, tune in to find out. See you next week, guys.